I am super excited today for the interview I'm having with Daniella Vona, an icon at eXp Realty. She's also an amazing leader, has been with the company for 5 years, but in the business for almost 10. She is located in Toronto, Canada, and she is being pioneering not only on the production side, by having that personal touch with her sphere, but also helping, leading, guiding, and mentoring agents to do the same in finding their why, their motivation, their goal, having a clear vision. And this is what is going to set you up for 2026 if you're feeling stuck or if you're just getting started in the real estate industry. You don't want to miss this interview. So let's jump in because I am so thrilled to have her with us here today. Hey, everybody. As I shared in my introduction, I am just so excited to have Daniella Vona here with us today. Not only because she's a rock star, top producer, and you're going to learn so much from her, but she's someone so special that I carry with me. And I had the opportunity to meet her in person a few times. And, it's such an honor to have you here today, Daniella. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the beautiful welcome and all those beautiful compliments right back at you, Amanda.
Oh, we love you, and I know whoever's watching today, it's gonna get a ton of nuggets from you. So, a little customary thing that I love doing here is just kind of, breaking down a little bit more. Not only you are in real estate today, you're a top producer, but kind of going back to the beginnings, like even before real estate, what were you doing that got you into real estate, and a little bit of your journey since then?
That's a great question, Amanda. And I'll be honest with you, I denied real estate for the longest time. I was in high school, I was always working in retail sales. And when I was 18, someone had approached me. I was working for a shoe brand and I was a cashier. And they came up to me after I cashed them out and they said, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna go to my car, come back with something for you." And I was like, "What's going on?" So he comes back and it wasn't a proposal. So he comes back and it was like a CD brochure, different style proposal. And it was all branded real estate. He was some type of coach, something like this. And I'm like, "Who's this guy?" He's like, "Come work for me. I want you to get into real estate and work with me." And I'm like, "I'm 18. Like, I have no experience in purchasing a house. I'm a cashier sales, but something that at that time he saw in me, and I don't know who he is today. I took that brochure, I chucked it under my bed, and I moved several times. And I remember throwing it out at one point in my life. And that was the first denial of the real estate industry from my end. I continued into retail sales and was still doing my college university degree. So that was important to me. I felt at the time in my generation that we needed to have an undergraduate at minimum to work in the fields wherever we wanted to, but in the corporate environment. I thought that was the path for me. I do come from a family of entrepreneurs on my dad's side. So, he was always forceful to me saying, "Hey, you should really get into real estate." So that was the next time that real estate approached me. And also, my mother worked in the real estate industry for a builder. So she was like the office manager. And I always grew up in that environment, but she always denied me. She said, "Don't do it. Like, don't get into this. Real estate agents, it's so tough." But then my dad was like the other person on my shoulder telling me to get into it. So 10 years after that experience with the person who came to bring me the proposal with the CDs and all of that, I decided, you know what, let me listen to my father. Let me go get my real estate license, because at this point I was graduated from university. Coca-Cola wasn't hiring me, and I was like, I need to do something for myself. And I was working for the builder in sales and in the decor center. So I was already in the environment of seeing people work in real estate. And I was working with other agents, but I was on salary. So I got to see the way they operated, kind of the lifestyle that they were living. And my background before this was I ended up being a retail sales manager. And I knew that that wasn't the life for me, but I came with this customer service and marketing background in my degree. So I felt that these two things could be super helpful in real estate. And that's when, yeah, I took the jump, got licensed. But the builders sold all their projects. So I'm like, oh my God, I got to do this on my own. And I ended up also moving closer to the city. So I started my business in Toronto, where I am, all on my own, not in pre-construction. At the time that I got my license, the market had made a huge turn. This was about 10 years ago, and it was not a good turn. It was a turn for the worst. The sales had dropped. Everyone was like, why are you getting your license? This is the worst time. I said, well, I'm done. It's the only time, and I literally had to decide to just keep moving forward, did like just ignoring the naysayers and what the market was doing. And for me, that allowed me to work a lot harder and also give some confidence to myself to realize that the market is the market. There are seasons, which we know, and we just have to rely on ourselves and keep pushing forward. And that's what I did. I also quit my job. I decided, because I know that a lot of agents that are coming into real estate decide, should I keep the full-time job, do this part-time? I'm just going to do, and I looked inward to myself, which I think that all agents should do. And I said, if I keep my job, which was a steady salaried job, and I put one foot into real estate and keep one foot out in this other account executive job, I'm not going to do the best that I can in this one that pays
Mhm.
nothing, right? The one that takes a lot of chance and the one that's unpredictable. So I decided to quit that opportunity and go full-fledged into 100% real estate. And honestly, I had a great year. I tripled my income from my last job, and that started, it took time. Like, it didn't happen right away. I got licensed in like November. So I was going through the winter season. I used that time to build my business, to do social media posts, to make calls, visit properties, to learn like the basics of the business. And I'm self-disciplined. I didn't rely on my brokerage to do anything for me. So I was taking webinars, joining like master classes to learn, marketing tactics that I maybe didn't learn in school, and just dig into what I could do to get some exposure. So that was kind of like a little bit of a long story of the history, but I do believe, and I do say this today to end my thought here, is that real estate agents, we're not here for sales. Like, it is a sales role, but what makes us successful is customer service and being a good marketer and lead generator, because the houses will sell themselves. But you have to be able to bring in clients, make good contact. So you need to understand marketing and you need to understand lead generating. Your phone does not ring on its own. And then you need to also give good customer service so you can make the clients happy, make the sale, and make more business after.
Wow, wow, wow. I love that. Like it was hunting you down, and here you are, doing amazing.
It's
I
magic.
love that. I love that. Because I feel like even for me, I felt the same way. Like I never thought of doing real estate, and someone was like the one whispering like the word to me. And so sometimes it takes that, right? Someone that sees for you, beyond your own vision, and then, here we are, here we're doing it. That's super exciting. So either if you can, like, I know you've been in the business for almost 10 years now, as you share. What was your lead generation strategy then? Is it still the same now or similar with the knowledge that now you have about the business?
Amazing question. So, where my mindset was, Amanda, in the beginning is that I was like, this is a new business. I'm still so nervous about it. I've quit my job. I don't know how much money I want to spend in this new business and invest. And honestly, I wasn't coached on what to spend either. Like, is
Hmm.
20% great? And where's that money coming from? And at the time, I felt like, what are all the free things or low cost things that I could do? And because I came from a university degree in marketing, I was like, where's my ROI? Like,
Hmm.
where am I going to spend the best amount of money for the greatest return? And I lived in a condo at the time. I saw some condominium ads, and I always knew the four real estate agents that were in there. Like I always knew their name, I always knew what office they're from because you spend more time in an elevator than you think. And even when you're condo shopping, you're going through an elevator to get to the floor, and you're everyone's going to look there. People don't talk to each other in the elevator. So you have the bulletin of what's going on, and then you have some sort of advertising. So I said, well, that's a good way. I wrote that down. I'd receive mail, direct mail, and I was like, well, there's a lot of agent stuff in here. Let me, instead of chucking them in the garbage, start looking at these and analyzing, is this going to work for me? What's being said here? What's the
Mm,
value people are providing? So I did a lot of market research, which is also something that I learned in school as well, doing like a SWOT analysis, market research, understanding what other agents are doing, because obviously if they're spending money here, it must mean something, right? So
absolutely.
I made the calls to find out how much is this ad in the elevator, how much are these flyers, and Amanda, everything was so expensive. At least at the time, it was like $500 every month. You have to sign a 1 year contract with these people. And I didn't stop at the money. What I did was I wrote it down and I called each of those agents that were doing those ads. And I said, listen, if I am going to ever consider this at some point, agent A, B, C, and D, hey, I see you're doing ads in this elevator. Are you getting calls? How is your experience with the company? So
Mm,
I did more market research. And what happened was they told me it's great for brand awareness. I might get lease calls and some calls every now and then, but I'm not really getting a lot of business. I didn't feel the confidence from them. I said, okay, I'm not going to spend the money. Like, I'm not making money yet. I'm going to park this idea and find a better ROI. So I ended up thinking that mailers were still good. I definitely had a dog at the time, and we would go out. We knew a lot of neighbors. I should have at the time probably put a sign on him, but I didn't think of it. But it was just networking and talking with people and having real conversations. And that to me was the best free thing that I could do. From there, when I realized that I just need to start small and not overcomplicate it, like I
mhm,
don't have to do a million things, I don't have to throw money at the wall and figure it out. Like, let's use these relationships with the people that I know and start building a database. And that's what I focused on, is focusing on my small micro neighborhood, the couple of condo buildings that I was in, having those conversations and maintaining them. I also reached out to, because I told you I got licensed in November, I reached out to all of the homeowners that I helped with the builder. So people in my network. And not every agent, works in pre-construction and has a group of people they helped with their homes, but these were people
mhm,
that already bought. So it wasn't like they were going to buy with me again, but what I mean to say is I reached out to my sphere, and those people were included in my sphere. The people I knew in my building were part of my sphere. I sent them Christmas cards. I sent them a business card, and I just wrote a handwritten message saying, hey, it's Daniella. I remembered a time we shared together. I wrote that in there. So
mm.
super personable. And I sent out these Christmas cards as one of the first things that I ever did. And I got calls. I got like, hey, Daniella, you were so great. We miss you. We're enjoying our neighborhood. I think I even offered to go for a walk with some of these people, because when you know your sphere, you're super comfortable with them. They're so warm. So that was great. And I got my first lease listing from one of those homeowners that I reached out to. And that was pivotal for me, right? Like I didn't know anything. And my other next listing was from a homeowner who lived in my building that I reached out to. I had sent a letter into that building as well. And I tried to cut costs, right? I saw that all these agents, I analyzed those flyers they were giving, and the first thing that most of us do, throw them out. So what did I do? I didn't say that every letter is going to be thrown out, but what can I do to provide value and make it
Mhm.
personal and make business from that? And that's where the Christmas card came in, and also valuable letters to the building about what's been selling, where home prices are, and I got business every time I did that. And I got my first
Wow.
listing. And when I sat in the listing presentation, I thought her chihuahua was going to kill me, but it did not. She also saw me. I picture this new agent. She also was like, oh, and like, what do you think we should price this at? You're the expert. And I was like, right. I'm the expert. And I'll never forget it. How you come off to people is that energy is what they perceive. So if you think you're a new agent, you're going to smell like a new agent. You know what I mean? So those were the free and low cost things that I did. I stuck with my sphere. I would provided personal, valuable information in a unique way to people that knew and were getting to know me or knew that I was in close proximity to them, and then
Mm,
I maintained those relationships. I
wow.
still do that today, right? I still do that today. But as you earn money, you then have to build your business. And we do a lot of business planning together in great capacity. And so part of business planning is, start putting some money aside from your deals. Not everything needs to go to your lifestyle. X amount of money is going to be reinvested into your business. And the faster you can start reinvesting back into your business is where you'll grow faster. So from there, I then expanded into paid meta ads, Facebook, Instagram ads. I was doing this like 7, 8 years ago. And then I did mailers like that were less personal, like the flyers that you see, but they were bigger foldouts. And this cost me like over 10,000 in a year.
Hmm.
And then I started saying, well, how can I cut costs here? And I would collaborate with mortgage agents, feature them in my mailer. So you got to really get creative with what you're doing. And then you always got to reassess from that marketing and don't just give up. Like I committed to that for years, right? Got business from it. And then you're analyzing all your deals and you're saying, okay, now that I've done this consistently, where have I gotten business from? And what am I going to keep doing? So always analyze your ROI, and that's what you continue with later on. Still do paid ads, do a lot of organic social media as well today. So a lot of free things that take up my time, but are super crucial to my business because your clients want to see you, new people want to see you and get to know you. And one thing that we always talk about is your real estate agent and your other things. So that's why not just showing your real estate side, but also the human side of you, that you're maybe a mom, a dog mom, you go dance salsa, whatever it is, just showing that you're a real person makes people want to connect easier.
And I love that you shared that because, there's so many things that you can do in real estate, especially when you're getting started. And you can see the success in so many different agents in your market or different, parts of the country. And then you just like, I need to do everything that they're doing. And even with my only like, 3.5 years in the business, and as I here on planning mode again, for as we enter in 2026, it's just like, you know, I've been doing so many things. Yes, some things are working, but there's others that is just busy work. They're not really generating, so that whole analysis, it's so important. And I'm just getting more and more of just like, I just need to like focus and narrow down to one thing. Social media is always going to be there for me. So I feel like it's just more like my cherry on the top. And, it's the awareness and, continue building trust, to whoever is following me. But uh and it's similar to where you're at. Like I literally, this has been just like couple of weeks, and like just 2 days ago, and I'm like, it's my sphere, like it's my sphere that when I'm thinking about where my business coming from, 40% is coming from there. And then there's, the social media and some open houses and whatnot that I was doing. But, but it's still the higher, percentage, it is my sphere. And I know sometimes as a new agent, we think they know where you're Neil, so you don't want to reach out to them. But I think it's just like that mindset that you talked about it, which is so important. Just like, how you see yourself, who are you putting yourself surrounding you? I know you were very, you have been always a go-getter, and you understood that you needed to go put yourself out there and not necessarily just wait what your brokerage is going to provide to you. And obviously, fast forward to 10 years, a lot of brokerages are providing a little bit more, maybe not everything. At the end of the day, you still are the owner of your business. So you got to show out for yourself, regardless of the systems and everything else you have. So, with all the experience that you have, obviously, I have the pleasure of like seeing you, speaking and training and coaching other agents with, you have such a structure in your business. You speak with so clarity, and I love all of that. You always inspire me. when I have the opportunity to, to be in the same room with you from that you're training, I know that, you be expanding your business as well now more on the leader side of things, right? I know we always are leader, even for just, our buyers and seller, but now, helping other agents. So if you just don't mind, for those, someone that is watching here is interested into understanding more, what does it look like, working with you and partner with you? Obviously today we don't have any limit because we have this social media, right? YouTube and Zoom calls. So we don't have to be physically in the same place. Obviously, if you're in Canada, Daniela is your person, but it doesn't matter where you're located. You can still get a lot of value. So if we can touch like shifting that hat more on the leadership of things and how you're running your groups, your coaching, and how you're supporting the agents.
Yeah, that's great. And to be honest, people follow people. A lot of agents follow a brokerage to learn, but you're always going to want to learn more beyond the one person that you're surrounded with.
Yeah.
And so you got to look at yourself. Who are you surrounding yourself with? And I took a deep look at myself at that 5 years ago, and that's when I was going to open up my own office. I loved telling agents what was making me successful and sharing that. And nobody was doing that. Real estate's such a lonely business. So when I realized that helping clients is amazing, but also helping other agents and people in general is what makes me happy, that's what I started focusing on. So bringing mentoring and training into my business over 5 years ago was one of the best decisions that I could make because it was more aligned with who I am.
Mm.
And one of the trainings that that I'm working with you right now in our business planning, it's almost life planning
Yeah.
because you're really dreaming big. I just cater the training after towards your business, which happens to be real estate and digging in there. But it is actually a training that some of my clients who have seen me on Instagram have said, "Hey, like, can I be a part of this?" And I've actually done one-on-one Zooms with them to help them in their life and get to where they want to,
Mm.
because that serves my why and my purpose. So the better we can get aligned with who we are and where we want to be, it's going to allow us to be on path. And so I'm really grateful that where I am today and the decision I made 5 years ago to step into this leadership role, to align myself with an office, a team, and people that allow me to do what I love to do best has really been a game changer for me. And even meshing what we just spoke about, lead generation for agents. I can't force anyone to do what I did. And I can't say that what I did will work for you and vice
Mhm.
versa. So
Mhm.
when it comes to when we're coaching and mentoring agents and I'm talking about lead generation and how to grow their business or to make the decision to be full-time or part-time, it really depends on them. And you really have to look inward. For me, I looked inward and I said, my best self is going to operate like this.
Mm.
I'm willing to do this consistently every single day. So I love working with agents. I love working with people that want to discover, sit with themselves, and grow into a better version of who they are today and work on a bigger goal. One of my favorite quotes is, life is not about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. And so
Mm.
whatever that looks like for you, this is your chance, right? It's a blank canvas. And that's one of the greatest lessons that being an entrepreneur has allowed me to be. And taking my first step into entrepreneurship was through real estate. So getting into this has allowed me to feel that my outputs, right? The harder I work, the more I receive, and also the smarter I work.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's very interesting how life works like that. So, yes, the more that I give to other people, the more I see that I receive. And now that has translated into an extra business for myself in the coaching space. And I absolutely love that.
And I think you do that, so well. One, you are driving with purpose, right? And it's feeding to your why. So I think it just shows that, in how you speak. And I think it's something so important too. Like even, you listening up, like it doesn't matter if you're a new agent or if you just been doing the business for a while and you're just feeling stuck. And yes, obviously we all want a lead generation, right? We want to continue to improve our income and because of maybe some of the things that we want to accomplish. But, but the basics sometimes it's skipped, which is just like, the business planning thing, right? I feel like there's so many agents that just get their license and they just start doing things a little bit all over the place. But it's just not taking that step back, and that business plan will change, right? Because we all change, we are evolving. So from year to year, maybe a little desire that you had that was so big, it might change because of something that happened in your life, or new things come in because of your new experiences that you have. And I think that is so important. I think that's something you do so well with your group, year after year, and just, throughout the year as coaching and helping them. It's just kind of going back, what's your why? Because as you said, we're not nobody's boss, and that's not the reason I think anyone came into real estate, is to find a boss, right? You're moving out of that, corporate world or wherever you're, doing before. So you're your own boss, but you want to partner up with people that is gonna align with you, grow with you, and not only inspire, because I feel like inspiration can go so far, but it will challenge you as well, so that you can get to yourself on the next level, and that's so amazing. So, right now, as you know, we've been kind of talking about, if you've been following my channel, I always kind of chat a little bit that, we're both are with EXP and the Wolfpack. Obviously we're biased. We absolutely love our culture and our family here. But you also have the opportunity that, EXP has opened up in the last several months, where you can do, a co-sponsorship and a sponsorship, which means you can work with two amazing leaders like ourselves to help you, take your business to the next level. Because both myself and Daniela, we have different experiences, different ways in how we do our business, but yet, we have a very similar focus in as far as, helping agents and really wanting to see you excel. So if it's something that you're ever interested, make sure you guys are just see on the description below and booking that call, so we can have that conversation further and see if it makes sense for you too, because we don't want you here if it doesn't make sense for you, but we know there's so much value that you can take from it. Daniela, as we're wrapping up, I would love just to kind of get a little bit of your final thoughts for maybe an agent. We're starting the year, some people might still be not, fully ready and engaged. January sometimes for some, it can be a little bit slow. So anything that you can just share of, like, for someone that is watching right now and just needing that little, hey, let's get going here in 2026. Let's make it better than the previous year. And we don't have to be holding on to the past, but we can make some adjustments so that this year it can be maybe the best year yet.
Absolutely. The first thing, and agents ask me this all the time, Daniela, what should I do?
Mm.
Right? And I can't ask them or tell them what they should do without knowing, where do they want to go? What is it that they want someday? And that brings me back to my business planning. With my group, I do this over one full month, every single year. It's an annual business planning. It's a life planning, and it takes you from understanding how you want to spend your days. I cannot tell anyone how to live their life. And I could tell them, listen, if you door knock X amount of homes every single day, or post on YouTube about this, that, and the other, it's going to get you business. Sure. But if that doesn't align with what they're willing to do every day and where they want to go, the dominoes are just not going to fall.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
the first thing that an agent needs to do is look inward. Maybe reach out to me and Amanda, ask us about our business planning, ask us about how we help with our resources in what we do every single day with our agents. But look inward. If you're not, in the position to make a call today, look inward on your own. Ask yourself, what is it that you want to do someday? How do you want to spend your days? And then from there, maybe you're thinking like 10 years, that someday could be 10 years, 20 years down the road, and then work backwards. What do
Mm-hmm.
I need to do in 10 years to get to my someday? And then what do I need to do in 5 years to get to my 10 years to then my someday? All the way until you start asking yourself, what do I need to do right now to get to my today's activity, to my 1 month's goal, to my 1 year, 5 year, 10 year someday goal? And that's how you'll build this domino and start working towards exactly where you need to be. Because if we start thinking, oh, this is what I want to do in 10 years, or I want to be retired, or make $1 million in real estate every single year, that's great, but that seems so far away. So agents need to really build today and know what their activities need to be every single day. And that starts with the dreaming big and thinking out loud with themselves, but then to really start breaking down the day-to-day practices that are going to get them to the next stretch, which is the next day, the next month, the next year, and so on.
I love that because I know it sounds simple and it is, but sometimes you do need the guidance just to walk through it if you have never done that before. Just to be in clarity, because we all need that, right? With clarity, with vision, you know where you're heading to. When you don't have that, you're just like, letting the world and everybody's else agenda, dictate how you should run your time in your business. And I don't think that's what anybody wants. But thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your story and your heart of just leadership, and I absolutely adore you and I appreciate your time today. And I will definitely, bring you back here another time for us to chat more because I know there's so much that you can go on and teach to those that are watching. But for today, I appreciate your time and thank you so much.
You're doing amazing things, Amanda. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye.
Bye.